my pleasure to introduce the 12th President of Duquesne University, Dr. Charles Doherty.
Thank you, John. Thank you particularly for the fine leadership of our search committee. As John mentioned, this was a search with an ambitious timeline and one that attracted a large and highly qualified pool of candidates. I want to begin by thanking the search committee itself for the professionalism, seriousness, and thoroughness with which they approached their task. Through their work, they identified an outstanding group of finalists, all of whom possess the qualities we were seeking in our next director of athletics. I would also like to thank members of our board of directors, our athletic staff, and our student athletes for their active participation in the process and their valuable feedback which they provided for my consideration. An excellent group of candidates usually means a tough decision, but that is a good problem to have. Given the high quality of the finalists and the difficulty of the decision, I am especially pleased to announce the appointment of David Harper as Duquesne University's next Director of Athletics. For the last 3 years, Dave has served at the University of Dayton as their Vice President for University Advancement, leading the university to record-setting levels of gift revenue during his tenure. Before being named Vice President for Advancement, Dave had built a long track record of athletic success. He served at Dayton in a variety of athletic administrative roles from 1998 to 2003, and from 2005 to 2012, culminating in the role of Associate Vice President of Athletics. From 2003 to 2005, Dave served as Assistant Athletic Director at the University of Michigan, and he began his career at Robert Morris University, where he served as an assistant football coach and defensive coordinator. It was clear to me and to those who met with Dave during the process that he is an ideal fit for Duquesne. He is a leader and a strategic thinker who understands how to build a successful program and programs. His accomplishments reveal a person who embraces the importance of reaching out and personally engaging all of our constituents: alumni, fans, faculty, staff, students, benefactors, and the media. Most importantly, Dave and I share the common vision that our athletic program should reflect the overall excellence and values of our university, and that it must be a fully integrated and vital part of the campus community. It is my pleasure now to introduce Duquesne University's next Director of Athletics, Dave Harper.
Those words are great to hear. I can tell you, I'm honored and very humbled to be here today. This is a tremendous opportunity, a tremendous institution, and a tremendous community. So thank you for your time today. I go long on thank yous, so I apologize, but I want to make sure I'm very thorough here. Certainly would like to begin the thanks to President Charles Doherty. The conversations we had made it clear that this was an opportunity I wanted to pursue. A very thorough process and a very informative visit just confirmed everything that I saw and felt when I was on campus. And John Plant, in my roles, I've been a part of search processes. I've been hired certain positions, and I can tell you, I'm going to be hard-pressed to ever find a better one that was more confidential, more personal, more informative, and more beneficial to me and the decision-making process of accepting a job like this. So John, tremendous job, and thank you. Board members that I was blessed to meet with: Marie Miley Jones, Tom Grealish, and Sam Costanzo, thank you so much for sharing your vision and your thoughts about embracing Duquesne and finding where we can go. Everyone on the search committee, Jim Ferry, Jeff Mallory, Shireen Brantley, Matt Frist, Paula Tarosi, Rachel Wojcicki, and also Joe Gio and Paul Matvey, who took time from their external duties to serve an institution, and certainly I understand how challenging that can be. I'd also like to thank all the student athletes, the university staff, Joy Hopkins, who arranged all the logistics, and it's just been a wonderful process. Everybody gave me their time, their thoughts, and was very open and honest in conversation. And lastly, I want to thank my family. Jake, you're going to have to wait to shoot a couple hoops, so hold on there. But I'd like to thank my family for being supportive and willing to embrace this opportunity as well. My oldest son couldn't be here, and yes, I did get this job despite the fact that he is up at Robert Morris. You know, today begins a relentless pursuit. While I'm the athletic director, it's about the collective team and partnerships we will form to facilitate success. There is a blueprint, and we will begin to assess, plan, and execute. While that is taking place, I'm going to ask that everybody have one simple focus: win the next thing you do. Win the next thing you do. Win that key conference road game, complete more reps, training, study 30 minutes longer to knock out that exam, serve the fans, the donors, the students, the entire community with a higher level each interaction. Winning is contagious. It builds culture. It builds team, it builds pride, and it builds ultimate focus. We can do this together, there's no doubt. And I sensed in talking to everyone that I will have an opportunity to be part of a great team to realize a robust notion of success. So what will it look like in the years ahead? And I would hope this institution and the athletics program is built on strong pillars. First, the academic mission of the institution is primary. We will truly integrate athletics into that mission, into that spirit and charism, into the student-athlete community. We will be fully integrated into that mission. Our program will be operated with integrity and in compliance with the NCAA rules. Our student-athletes are going to be authentically engaged across the institution and in the Pittsburgh community. And lastly, we'll compete ferociously. I can sense it. We have competitors on the staff. We have people with vision. We have people that want to win. So as I look at the faculty, staff, coaches, board members, everybody in the room, I want you to understand that I'm here to serve you. I'm here to be part of a team that achieves great results. I ask everyone, let's embrace Duquesne University and let's win the next thing we do. Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here, and I guess we're going to have an opportunity to take some questions. So again, thank you so much.
Hey there, Dave. I'm Craig Meyer with the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. It's
Nice to meet you.
Oh, it's very nice to meet you too. You know, you are obviously someone who is in a good spot at Dayton. You know, I guess what about this job and why this job? You know, why did this draw you here? You know, what did you see that really kind of piqued your interest?
I'll go back, not to give a long answer, but I first learned of the opportunity was when I was on vacation with my family, and my eyebrow raised, and then I said, you know, did some investigation. I talked to some folks, and then had a correspondence out of the gate with John. And as I learned more and I visited more, the word opportunity kept popping to mind. My blood got pumping. I think if you look at my background, I've always been part of things that have had a genesis of success because I've had a great team around me, and I sense that here. It's a wonderful institution. It fits with the character, it fits with my family. An absolutely wonderful community. We've spent some time here, although a long time ago, and I think we can win.
Hi, Zachary Weiss, DK Pittsburgh Sports. Nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you.
Trust is a big thing with any athletic program. Just how do you value the fans' trust as a whole, and how do you hope to address that kind of a thing?
You earn that every day. That is built over a period of time. I'm sure this wonderful institution has a lot of trust already. Now it's introducing them to some strategies, some plans, some different directions. And in that, I think it's important to have open dialogue with all your external constituencies. I remember when I was at Dayton and we had a seating plan, each time we would talk to as many as hundreds of season ticket holders. It's an opportunity to learn. A lot of fans have a lot of good input on some key issues about their experience or thoughts about the institution. So it's open dialogue, and it's every day doing the little things right for all of those external constituents.
Hi, Matt Geika, DKPittsburghSports.com as well.
Nice to meet you.
It's a busy media market. There's a lot going on here, pro and college. How do you plan to make the Duquesne athletic brand more distinctive and stand out in that crowd?
A challenge, certainly. I wouldn't pretend to say that we're going to get above the fold with the Steelers on a Sunday. All right, that's going to be tough. But I do believe there's a niche. I do believe there's enough. Obviously, when I looked at the numbers of alums in the area and all the different things that we have, there's a niche. And I think you have to create a special experience, whether it's at a soccer game, whether it's at a basketball game, a football game. And we've got to be ambassadors to draw people. And it's also taking the time to get the information that is necessary to get coverage of Duquesne. And that's on a local, regional, national basis, sending and celebrating the successes that we've had. There's a lot of good stories at this institution around the athletics program. We need to do that. And then also it's critical to have strong relationships with the media. I don't mind the tough questions. That's part of your job. But together we've got to work to make sure that I'm getting you the information that you need and the stories that you need. So I think it's a big battle. It's some heavy lifting, but there's enough of a niche in this community to make Duquesne a special part of that.
Hi, Jonathan Bumboli, Pittsburgh Tribune Review. You talked about having a blueprint going forward. I wonder if you could maybe give a few bullet points on how that applies to men's basketball, that being sort of the flagship program.
Yeah, obviously you talk with Jim a great deal about this, and I think Jim is finally in a position now where he's had some continuity of roster, of establishing a program, his blueprint, if you will. And it's my job to make sure I support him. But being involved in men's basketball and a lot of hires and a lot of different things, you have to ask the questions, what is our program going to do to compete in an Atlantic 10 conference that's murder? All right, it's a tough conference. There are a lot of good programs. And so when you look at that, it's about, what is your recruiting strategy? What is your strategy with the fans? It's everything surrounding that. And I think, to just own in on a couple things, I think that Jim has now brought stability to a situation. He has a good roster. And now, maybe he can spend some more time digging in on development with players. He can spend some more time digging in on other issues that are critical to his success, whether that's recruiting and presentation to student athletes when they come on. I've got to help him with that. That's my job. But I would say I'll let you peek inside a little bit of the blueprint, but not give away all of our trade secrets. How's that sound? So.
Just given your time at Dayton, I think when people look at, at Dayton and then at Duquesne, there are obviously, some similarities playing fairly big cities, and the same conference, they have 1AA football. I guess from your time at Dayton, do you see, some even though there's a gap in the success they've had over the past, 10 or 20 years, do you see, some similarities there? And do you think Duquesne, if kind of fostered in the right way, could become that kind of what Dayton is now?
I think there are similarities, and I also said there's some stark differences when I was here. I said, the Dayton model doesn't apply here necessarily. But some things do. And I think when you look at the competitiveness of programs and the importance of coaches and the type of student athlete you have, there's a lot of similarities. I think there's a lot, this is a loyal city and loves its sports, like Dayton does. It's men's basketball. So I think there's a lot of things we can carry over, but I think we also have to embrace Duquesne as it is today, and then really everybody can have a vision of where you want to go, but more importantly, it's what that vision entails. And so whether that's the critical components to the program, the coaching staff, the recruiting budgets, all those different things, you got to really focus on those details. And I think at Dayton, Ted Kissel, Tim Wobbler, others have done a tremendous job of that, and I've been able to see that. And as we put together strategy, and obviously we'll have a benefit of being able to have President Doherty here to help with a transition to a new president. So all those things are going to be a challenge, but more importantly, they're an opportunity. I really see them as an opportunity. So.
And also just kind of given your background in the Pittsburgh area, having been at Robert Morris, and you had some level of familiarity with Duquesne. As you went through the process of being interviewed and researching the school, was there anything that surprised you or kind of caught you off guard that you maybe wouldn't have kind of associated with the school before that?
So I think it was, I don't know, 2000, whatever, we were sitting up there. I don't know if you guys remember that. We were playing Dayton, and Duquesne was playing Dayton, and Dayton got railed pretty good. And I said, boy, it's a pretty good atmosphere and all that. So that was an impression I had, and throughout the years, I always thought, what could it be? And I've seen Duquesne teams, I've seen Dan's team compete, I've seen some other teams compete. I think there's a really strong foundation here. I think there's a lot of people that take pride in the compliance, the student-athlete welfare issues, all those things. So I was pleased to see what a strong foundation there was. And then from an institutional standpoint, my exposure as Vice President for Advancement, I know the enrollment trends and the challenges in higher eds and everything. And President Doherty obviously has done some tremendous things here in terms of the academic mission, the academic offerings, the enrollment. John's done a great job with advancement. So it was good to see what I suspected to be the case, and there's a lot of good here. The city's surprising. I hadn't been through downtown, but I had a mentor of mine said, if there's cranes, that's a good sign, and if there's wrecking balls at the end of them, that's not a good sign. So there's beams hanging from cranes in Pittsburgh. So this is a healthy and vibrant community, and that was a little bit surprising to me, although I had been here.
Kind of as a final thing here, kind of early on here in the process, from some of the earlier research you've done, what do you think are kind of some of the bigger challenges that you think might be kind of awaiting you here in the?
Yeah, I'll use the word challenge. Something you embrace, but I'll look at the opportunity here. I think the coaches, although I only had an hour and a half, you get a feel for a room pretty quickly. And you saw eyes and you saw passion about each of their programs and how can we get better. And when they brought up issues, they were issues that I said, boy, these are things that we'd love to tackle together. I think that the student athletes that I met with had some very good concerns. They had concerns about their ability. Two things. Academic side, they loved it. Felt supported. I think player development, facility development, things of those natures. Those are things we'll have to look at and figure out a plan. But it's nothing that's insurmountable in terms of a challenge.
Joe Sykes, I'm with the student newspaper here, the Duquesne Duke. Did you have a lot of contact with people here? I mean, being from Dayton, you were pretty close in the conference, but did you have a lot of contact with people within the organization?
My first job was, is Darnell still up there, right? Yeah. My first job was with Darnell Richardson. We were on the same staff together. So the fact that there was some going way back, I had some interaction with Coach Smith and some of the football coaches. I had actually coached out on Rooney Field. And our men's basketball staff was extremely helpful in sharing information about Jim and his staff, Jim Jaber about Dan and his staff, and some of the other coaches I got to bump quickly. So I felt as if we could get to know one another more quickly than maybe in another situation where you don't have a familiarity or don't have didn't have the blessing of those early interactions. But again, that's because of the process that John put together. So.
Having worked at a place like Michigan, as strong of a brand in the country, let alone college athletics, what can you try to foster here? I know you're not going to be able to reach those sites most likely, but there's got to be some kind of, I guess, maybe some touch points, some things that you retain from your time there that can help make this university's athletic brand more distinctive. What are some of those?
Yeah, and I think Michigan, when I say this, obviously, I respect the institution, but I think Michigan has learned recently about how today tradition can be fleeting. And a 15 or 16-year-old, tradition may be the last text they got, right? So I think they had certain pillars at Michigan that they've never compromised, and they're around the pillars that I talked about. So that has always carried them in the academic mission of the institution. But you have to have success, and when you do, you got to make sure the right people are aware about it. I know that we've had some targeted communications in the past when we were doing better with national basketball writers, and Jim will have relationships. And on the football end, the selection committee for a potential at-large berth, if we're ever in that situation, or if we win conference, how are we going to? All those types of things, you carry your brand every day, and you have to reinforce those messages consistently with whoever that is you're talking about. I think that's what Michigan does very well, and always does very well. The Block M is powerful. But I think the Duke is powerful too, and can certainly be a symbol of who we are and who we're going to become. Good. All right. Thank you very much again. An honor to be here. And if anybody would like to ask me any questions of any kind, off to the side or whatever, I'll be more than happy to make myself available. And that's to our team. Anything that you want to catch before in my time here, I'm more than happy to talk to you and meet with you. So thank you.